All right, I'm just going to go ahead and screen capture this because of the network issues with Twitch. Sorry about that. I didn't think about the images being too large to open and stream at the same time. So I did bring in a picture. I'm going to make a new layer, and just so that we can pick up where we left off with the brushes, that's the B, you can change the size, you can change the hardness and softness. So I'm on a new layer. I can, this is at 58 opacity. 1, 2, 3. Let's make it 100. So for this, you can have, extra textures. You could paint in your own details, or you can bring in something new. So I brought up Brashisi, which is what we were talking about in the stream. So let's go ahead and, let's just look by category. That might make it a little bit more easier. Oh, okay. So I know right off the bat, I'm going to like, more of the textural style with the background. So let's see what they give us with that. And I had said, take it to the standard so that we get the free ones. So you can see they have like the spray paints, they have different stones, concrete stones, watercolor, halftones are always nice, maybe some cracks. So you have that. Coffee stains, those are always kind of interesting as well, and lots of watercolors, etc. So I would say just look around, explore. This is like whenever you start getting into type, you can find tons of these, download them, and just play around and see how they function. I'm going to go ahead and just grab a watercolor one so that we have it. Free download. We'll let it do its thing. All right, and then whenever we go into our downloads, let it do its magic. Whenever we go into our downloads, we can see that it's going to be, let me just unzip that, the .abr, and the abr means it is going to be a brush, basically. So in order to get that into it, you have in a Mac you have two options. You can, I'm just going to minimize this, go into your hard drive, apps, Photoshop, presets, brushes. So again, apps, Photoshop, presets, brushes, and you can see it has some in here already, and you could just click and drag it in. So that's one way. Or you can go under your brushes themselves. There's the little gear toggle, and you can import brushes, and this is where we crashed earlier. There it is, the .abr. Go ahead, open it, and it shows up here at the bottom. So free Photoshop or free watercolor brushes, and there's a lot to choose from. So whenever it's in the sample mode like this, it is hard to see, so I like to sort of click, test it out. So maybe I want something like this. Let's have a more of a contrast so that the green and the pink in this case will talk to each other. So I'm just going to zoom it out so we can see it. I do have it on its own layer. So that's what I was saying in the stream. That's nice to have it on its own layer, so I can go to that free transform, hold down that shift key to constrain it. If you have that turned on, some have stayed with what 2020 is, and you can just expand it as is. And now you can see what we can do. We can navigate it around. We could have flipped it if we wanted. And so this is very similar to how we were doing with the last stream, where it was photo on top of photo and experimenting with layer style. But what's interesting with the brushes is you can then choose what color you're interested in, have it manipulate, the image from there. And now we can do our image or our layer styles. So, if we wanted something that color converts it, or it does like a washout, like something like that's pretty interesting. We can adjust it, however much we want. You can also make your own brushes. So I'm just going to toss this layer. So let's go into, let's go to Pexels, and we'll just grab a cat because they're always good to use for these. And I'm going to look for something that's going to be easy to grab and has a strong contrast. So that first one actually probably what I'm going to go with, but let's just sort of check the rest out real quick. This one actually could be interesting also. Let's download him and go ahead and drag him into Photoshop. So what I want to do is just get, for some reason, my design is going to have leaves and a cat. And we're going to make this cat into a brush. So let's go ahead. We could either select the background with our magic wand, add to that selection. Why I like to look for the plane is so that I can grab the actual object a little bit easier. So then all I have to do is Shift Command I, which is a select inverse, and I'll undo that, select inverse. So now just that cat is what we want. So I'm going to go ahead, paste the cat into here. Under Edit, there is going to be a Define Brush preset. It should remember said cat. It looks like it wants to put it onto all of it, so let's just go ahead, make a new document, put the cat on there. I mean, I'm missing parts, but for a demo, this is fine. Define that brush preset. There it is. Brushes typically don't go higher than 2300. So I'm going to call this cat 1 because maybe we're going to make, you can see what happened. We have a cat now. And when we take it into this one, we can now paint with the cat. So you can turn any of your photos into a brush. You can, if I didn't want to have it like that, you can actually just paint with it and then maybe change the color on the top one so it has this sort of weird neon glow look to it. So if you're into photography, you can turn your own into brushes, or you can take a shape and manipulate it into more of a pattern based. So if we were going to do something that's more pattern based, I'm just going to hide that layer. Boom, boom. So it has that sort of Andy Warhol-esque feel to it. And then when we work with those layer styles, and green's probably not the best color for this, but we're going to go with it, you can get some really interesting looks with this. That's kind of nice. So you can make anything a brush, but my favorite thing with those are just having fun, seeing what kind of textures you can get with these and add a little bit extra layer of something to this to make your designs have that one little extra step further. So again, sorry that my bandwidth didn't like the heavy image files. So hopefully this was a good backup, and I will see you guys next time.